let's take a look. Look at that bad boy. That's one bent valve. Hello and welcome back. In the last video you'll have seen that the engine was absolutely shot and I don't want to rebuild that. It's not worth the effort. So I asked in the comments what you thought we should do. I had a few comments saying we should have a V8 in it, and I actually tracked down a rover V8 which I thought would be pretty cool to put in there. Spoke to the guy, he was away on holiday at the time, and I agreed I would go and have a look at it and potentially purchase it. It was only a couple of hours away. Anyway, after he got back off holiday, it turns out somebody had actually removed it from his property as scrap. So that's a no-go. But I did manage to find a Land Rover 300 TDI engine off a friend who lives in the next street, so nice and handy to go and get and have a look at. The history of it is totally unknown. It's one he got given as a non-runner. So we're going to take that and see what we can do with it. So once we got the engine, we actually got a 3/4 drive socket set on the crank pulley with an extension tube on the end of it, and it's locked up solid. So first thing to do is whip off the rocker cover. Let's see what the condition of the valves are like, and check they're all in there as well. We don't want one of them dropped inside. We don't want that again. What I did, I got a bit of cardboard. I just put front for the front of the engine, obviously back for the back. I just put holes in where the head bolts had came out. So it's literally a case of that head bolt there was in that one there. So on down the row, down the middle, and down the back, so you know you're putting them back in the right place. We've removed all the head bolts and look at what's inside. No wonder it's seized up solid. The turbo itself was actually locked up as well, and I've managed to free that up with a little bit of perseverance and plenty of oil. Draining the oil from an engine normally gives you a good indication of what the condition is like. Take a look at this. There's 5 litres. We've managed to clean up the liners and the pistons are now going up and down. And I'm actually surprised it's in really good condition now we've got it cleaned up. There's not a lot of wear, or any visible wear, or anything I can feel within the bores. There's no piston slap in it. I think it's going to make a good engine. So what we're going to do is check the valves are sealing correctly. I'm just spraying WD-40 around the valves, so it's flooding around them, and I'm waiting to see if it leaks through. This way I'm testing if the valves are seated. So what I've got now, I've got all 4 cylinders, all 8 valves, holding WD-40. So that to me is telling me that the valves are seated alright and we're not losing compression. With the valves seated and the bore clean and the pistons looking good, what we need to do is check if the head or the block is misshapen or warped. So we're going to do that with a straight edge. I've just gone over the head with this straight edge. I've been using my phone with a light to see if it shines through and there's no warping in the head whatsoever. It all looks good. I've also ran the square edge right across the block as well, and there's no issues with that. It's all looking good. We've got a nice new head gasket, and with these ones on the Land Rovers they come in different thicknesses. If you can see, so these 3 holes here, I believe that references to 1.5mm, and that's what the old one had, was these 3 holes. So we'll get this new one fitted and we'll get the valves sorted out and we'll see if we can get it going. The head's lifted back on in place. What a fight I had with that. I ended up having to move the camera because I kept knocking it. That's lifted into place. I'm going to get the bolts in, etc. Then we'll look at sorting the valves. I've got the head bolts in. They're all nipped down and I'm no expert on engine building, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but started in from the centre and you work out until you've done all the bolts. Just a slight nip on them, went round, torqued them up, and best way to do is just follow the manual. We've got the air intake now fitted on and a few oil pipes, etc. Valves as well. I've done the rule of 9. If you haven't heard about that or done that, there's loads of videos on YouTube to watch for that. Right, she's not pretty, but she's set up. I've got a couple of batteries on there just to give it a good cranking over, because I think that starter's not the best. I'm just waiting on the boy to come up to give me a hand, because I can't hold the engine, start it, and we're going to give it a little bit of ether, because we haven't even connected up the injectors or anything like that. I just want to see if it'll kick off on a bit of easy start, then we'll know whether we're in the right direction, then we can sort out the diesel side of it. So yeah, we're all set up, and we'll see if she'll go. Oh, I haven't piped up the turbo either, so it's just going to be natural aspirated straight in the end of the air intake into the valves that way, so no turbo. So it's just a quick see if she'll run on a bit of ether, and let's see what happens. Beautiful. Right, we've got the injectors connected up. We've got a fuel supply connected up. We've got a 12 volt supply to the fuel solenoid. So we're good to give it a little crank over and see if she'll fire. When we were doing it before, there was a bit of diesel coming out the injectors, so it means there's fuel in the pump. So hopefully she shouldn't be too bad to bleed, because you can't really see, but this lift pump, it's not working whatsoever. I'm hoping the mechanical side of it will be, so let's see what happens. So we're going to give her a go with no ether. We've got the fuel connected up, no turbo pipe yet, no exhaust or nothing. We're just going to see if she'll fire up on the diesel. Take 2. Well, sort of a success. I would say that's a bit of air in the system now. We've had a lot of water in the fuel system. You can see here how it's been milky. So what we've done, we've had the injector pipes off. We've kept spinning that round, and I took, if I can see, I took this plate off here, off the pump. I drained that out. So now we should have gravity feed fuel coming in, because this lift pump here, where's my finger gone? Here, is not working, so I'll have to get a new one. So gravity feed. And we're going to see if she'll go. What we've done with the starter, because the one I've put on is actually an old one, which was a bit faulty, with 24 volt power to the starter, but we've got a 12 volt supply down to this wire here, which is to the fuel solenoid. So a 24 volt starter motor, 12 volt to the fuel, bit of arky sparky off this lead to the starter. We're going to see if she'll fire up. If you just give her half throttle. Yeah. Fergie in the garage. We're going to crack on, we're going to get stripped down and see what we're left with. Once we've got rid of the bonnet, we'll take the caster arms off, the front axle, then we'll look at getting the engine block out. Then we can start and make the templates, see if we can get the engine to fit and all that kind of cool stuff. So let's crack on and get the bonnet off. You can see there where the valve is initially caught. It's come in after it's been bent and gone into the top of the piston there. Crack block here. We've got to remove the radiator to make it easier to get the axle off. You can see where the lad's got the socket on. Just 2 bolts and we'll get that out of the way. He's now got both of his nuts off, he's got them free, he's just going to take the radiator off now. She's starting to open up a little bit, and I think the plan will be, we'll take the caster arms off on either side, the steering arms as well. That should then just leave us with the centre pin, then we can remove the front axle off. I'm just taking this steering joint off. I've got the nut and the washer off the back and it hasn't popped off. So I find the best way is, I know it sounds brutal, but it's the hammer, not on the steering joint itself, but on where it actually goes through, a little bit of shock on there, and it should hopefully pop it out. There we go. No harm done. And we'll just put everything back we can so we don't lose any of the parts. That's it for this side. The lad's on the other side, he's just repeating the same. For the main axle, we've got a split pin we need to remove in the castle nut, so we can remove the bigger pin, which is here and runs right through. So we'll get that nut off, then we'll bring you back to take that pin out. And on the thread of the knot as well. There we go. So you can see in here there's quite a bit of wear within this. We'll have a look, see if we can get a new bush in there, but I'm thinking we might need a new axle. I know we can weld that up, but somebody's had a go in the past. It hasn't worked out too well. So now we've got this nut off, we're just going to get something in here to try and pop this pin out, and hopefully we should be able to remove the axle. So we've just come to take the pin out on the front, and it won't move, had a big bar on it, and look away. Some of the best seagull do in the world, sticking it on the back. We've got the grinder in, we've given her a little clean up, hopefully she might pop out. We'll try and give her a go. It's still a bit tight, we'll have a look at that weld at the back, see if anything's moved. Looking at it, nothing's moved. I'll give it another tickle with a grinder just to make sure we've definitely got it all. We're just going to give it a tap with a hammer to see if it'll break the weld on the back. And you know how Bam Bam loves the hammer. So you see now there's still it has moved, but there's still a bit holding, I would say. So we'll keep going with the grinder and just get that top bit. See if I can get my finger in the way to show you, but I'm thinking around this area here, we'll get this. Round 2 for Bam Bam. There's next to nothing there holding that now, so we'll have a go with the bar and see it's breaking away nicely. So we'll see what we can do. Okay. Get in there. She's going. She's going, lad. Is it a bit of that snotty stuff on the back holding it? Yeah. So she is moving. We've seen it move. We just need to clear a bit of that snotty stuff still on the back. She's out the back. Axle's not going to go anywhere, is it? Skew with that wheel, send it outwards. I'll give it a bit of support. No, it's alright, don't need it now, it's gone. We just need to try and square it with your wheel. Let's try and get the axle floating up a bit. Just keep hold of that there. Them 2 bits of wood under your wheel, just so it takes a little bit of weight off it. Yeah, it's just the weight sitting down on it, so just do that. That's it. Maybe have a shot under there, might do it. You just try a little bit of down pressure on there. put your bit of wood back under. She needs to be in the centre of the wheel a bit. Just push that back there. Get something in there. Just hold that in there for us, just to stop it sliding forwards. It's not doing it. It should just wedge in somewhere. Let's try. Grab your hammer. Just gently tap on there. See a sec. You can see the pin's right at the top, so this is sitting down on the pin. That's why that bit of wood was up. It just float it a little bit. You can see there's not a lot of weight on it. I think she's going this is slightly. There she goes. Snotty weld coming through. Well, we can lift the axle over that anyway, if you go outside. That's it. Beautiful. We're going to get this out of the way now, and we'll come back. With the front axle out the way, we're set up now. We've got a caster board, which I borrowed off a good friend. We've got that set up for the engine to go on. It's packed underneath. What we're going to have to do is disconnect anything from sort of where the engine bolts that way. So stuff like the fuel pipe, the stopper, all the little bits like that will get unbolted. We'll go around, we'll get the engine bolts undone. We'll get a bit of a chain block set up, we'll do a lift to take the weight. Then hopefully she'll come down nicely and we can wheel her out the way. Right, we've got all the bolts out, we're ready to see if she'll just jiggle free. She's strapped to the board on casters. We're taking a little bit of weight on that chain hoist there as well. So hopefully we can just jiggle her outwards from the main part of the tractor. I'll just move you guys back a little bit and get you reset up. Down that chain. There we go, she's out. I could be wrong, but it looks like it might have had a clutch kit in this. That looks absolutely immaculate. Even the thrust bearing as well. Looks in really good book. Don't know if I can get it with the camera into the springs, but all the springs have still got paint on them inside there as well. Looks really good. If you've stuck with it this far, do us a favour, smash the like button, and if you haven't subscribed, it helps me get a greater audience and it helps me keep doing these videos. So thanks for watching, see you in the next one.